Trying to change something on the outside without changing it first on the inside is a strategy that has never really proved to work so far. And actually you have one of the best barometers inside, which is your own internal dialogue, your own inner narratives about everything and nothing. A great question to start with so that you better understand yourself would be: is the language on the inside reflecting optimism and kindness, or is it just reflecting fear, anger, and guilt? When you talk to yourself all day long, how much of your day was spent feeling good, for example? And how much of your day was spent ruminating things that just dragged you into even darker places, emotionally, intellectually, whatever you think about? How much of your inner dialogue is reflecting joy and optimism, and how much is just lowering your own self-esteem and desires in life? To be more specific, negative inner dialogues are often coming from a lack of assertiveness into your skills, your value, your self-worth, or the thing you want to prove to someone else. This one is particularly interesting. If you spot yourself arguing with somebody into your head, or even arguing with yourself, what is the main content of the argument? Is there anything that keeps coming back whenever you argue in your head? You try to prove people wrong, but they are not there. You just rehearse what you should say to somebody, or what you said sometimes to somebody else who is not there anymore. Whatever it is, when there is something like this coming back again and again, can you pinpoint the content of the dialogue, the content of the disagreement, or the thing that is triggering you from the inside? Is there one person specifically you keep arguing with in your head, or you keep imagining a conversation with in your head? Somebody you may have never confronted in real life, or maybe you didn't really end well on your side at least, and now you still have this person in your head trying to oppose facts and counter arguments, but in the end all of those things are just a mirror of the lack of assertiveness you may have about the topic at hand. So in my opinion, it is great news, because we can use that information instead of criticizing yourself. We can use that information to pinpoint what is the area I need to work on right now. Maybe the things I'm working on in my life are not really that relevant in any way, but the thing I keep complaining about in my head, maybe this is the one thing I should get more attention to. Another tricky one is, do you blame yourself? Do you used to blame yourself in your head for things you didn't do well, for things you wish you could have done sooner, whatever? If you blame yourself, same thing. What is the main critical point you keep coming back to? What is the main critical argument you have against yourself eventually? The first part into all of that is to bring more consciousness on what is running in the background whenever you walk into your life and get automatic on your day-to-day activities. There are many blockages and potential wounds stuck in the background running while you do other things, and running in your sleep, obviously. So you may also analyze your dreams sometimes. That can be relevant for some people. Once you have a good understanding of the main topic that keeps coming back, then you can simply ask one question to yourself that will help your inner dialogue coming to a resolution, or at least any more positive attitude toward yourself, toward your projects, toward life, or anything else. The question is, if that conversation, the one you have in your head, or like your inner dialogue, if that conversation could come to a positive end right now, how would it end? If this discussion, this story I keep narrating in my head, if this dialogue I keep arguing with in my head, if that could come to a positive end, okay? Imagine the thing you keep arguing with in your head, or the thing you keep having inner conflicts about in your own head, if that thing was a movie. The movie is now coming to an end. This is the end. We hear the great song at the end of the movie that is letting you understand we are going to the final crescendo that will lead to the end of the fucking movie. How would that movie or that story end in your head? End in a positive way. I didn't say end like, okay, I don't want to look at this anymore, let's just ignore it. Never works. But if that could come to a final end, instead of ruminating again and again and again the same thoughts you have been ruminating the last 15 days or 15 years, If those ruminating thoughts could come to an end, then how would it end? What would be the end point of that? Because once it is resolved inside, you will notice your language, even the way you speak, the way you interact with others, is much more confident on the outside. From the outside perspective, you will sound and appear more confident because all those inner conflicts and wounds and intricacies, they are solved inside. Once it is solved inside, anything you say will appear much more interesting, first of all, to listen to, will appear more constructed, will appear and sound more thought out. Anything you say will catch attention more easily. And that is specifically the topic of the method you can find down below that I have just launched this week, called the language of confidence. Those are language patterns that you obviously say out loud to somebody else to solve a conflict, run an interaction, or lead a social situation instead of being led by others, whether it is professional, in your intimate relationships, anything where other human beings are involved, should I say. How can you take the lead without preventing others from speaking? Because it is not about shutting others down, it is about looking for a compromise, but a compromise where you respect yourself, you have understood your own vulnerabilities, you have healed and solved all of them, or like most of the biggest problem of them. And then with that healthy mind from the inside, you will create healthier and more positive relationships, whether they are romantic ones, professional ones, any of them. It will be healthier because it will come from a place of you respect yourself, you have acknowledged your own insecurities, you have solved them from the inside through your inner dialogue or anything else, and from there people will listen to you much more carefully and will sometimes even just obey you without knowing why, which is a dangerous power to hold. Be careful about this. It can be dangerous to be such a confident person because you will notice many people start agreeing with you even without knowing why they agree with you. And if you are ready to use that knowledge and that power in an ethical way, of course, you have this method down below with all the inner conditioning. How do we dig into all the mess that may have accumulated in your life that tend to make you not really believe in yourself that much? How can we transform that from the inside and build up more resources so that whatever you say, all the language you used, is naturally linked with a strong inner game from the inside? And then obviously there are examples of language patterns that you can use in your conversations. I recommend to not use exactly the ones I give, but to adapt them to your own natural way of speaking. And there are examples given with the context in which I tend to say each of those things one by one, each of them explained and broken down in details, so that you understand some people you need to be really strict and confrontational with, some people you need to be soft and kind with. It will depend on the situation, it will depend on how much do they respect you already, and all of those methods will become automatic and intuitive for you after a bit of training, and that training can start with this method down below in the description. And in any case, good luck on your project, on your skills. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, as usual, you can comment on this video, and I will see you soon in the next video.